The Nigerian Senate had, in a recent resolution, directed its Constitution Review Committee to put in place the machinery to amend the Nigerian Constitution to allow for the creation of state police and also to pave way for the passage of the police reform bill. Well, this has been described in some quarters as timely, especially with the current security situation in Nigeria. While the Senate is at it, the pertinent question to ask is, will the bill address issues of reforms and welfare of the officers? In this edition of Nigeria Today, we are focusing on reforming the Nigeria Police and its welfare. Welcome to the program. My name is Kande Daniel. Yes, the program is Nigeria Today, and I have in the studio to take a critical look at the topic of police reform and the welfare of personnel of the Nigeria Police Force. Professor Olu Ogunshakin, you're welcome to Nigeria Today. Professor Ogunshakin is a holder of a doctorate degree in police studies. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Well, before the conversation begins, we'll take a look at a report by Anthony Forson on the town hall meeting that was held in Gusau by the Ministry of Information in collaboration with the Zamfara state government.
Titled Reinterpretation of the Farmers-Herders Conflict in Nigeria, Professor Sadiq took the audience down memory lane, describing it as an issue that has been misrepresented by the media and politicized by vested interests, thereby distorting the real situation. He said the current narrative is one that stigmatizes pastoralists, making them lose self-esteem, raising concerns on the plight of the pastoralists even though the conflict has remote and immediate causes, using statistics to make the point that efforts being made by the present administration in collaboration with Zamfara state government, there are high hopes that the situation will be contained.
We have to build a nation. We do not build a nation by manipulating religion. We cannot build a nation by manipulating religion, manipulating ethnicity.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, who set the interaction open, said the idea behind the meeting is to reassure Nigerians that the federal government is on top of the situation.
The killings resulting from farmers, herdsmen clashes, cattle rustling, transborder crimes and banditry, among others, have fallen drastically in the last couple of months. Unfortunately, this huge achievement of the federal government in collaboration with the state government has not received the same kind of media attention as the killings a few months ago. I appeal to my colleagues in the media to please correct this.
In the end, the consensus was that there is no farmers-herders crisis, but pure criminality with rural base. And for the media, there was a unanimous call for restraints in the discharge of their duties. In Gusau, Zamfara State, Anthony Forson.
Right, back in the studio, I have my guest seated in person of Professor Olu Ogunshakin. He's my guest to take a look at this very vital issue of reforming the Nigeria Police and the welfare of personnel of the police. You agree with me? This is quite vital, isn't it? I do not want to presume. It may seem obvious, but talk to us. Just how vital is the role of the Nigeria Police in keeping the peace of the nation?
Again, Nigeria Police is the lead agency that looks into security, and the fact that they are responsible for security, they need to be well equipped. And I don't want to start talking about the lack of equipment or funding at this point, but the reality is when you look at the whole setup, we need to look at the structure first. And the structure itself is not as sound as it may look to the public. When you look at the structure, you're looking at the Nigerian police force with three main pillars. And the first pillar is the is the police council. The police council is responsible for the administration of Nigerian police. Then the police itself, the Inspector General of Police, is responsible for the operational day-to-day activities. Then you look at the Police Service Commission. They are responsible for the promotion and discipline. And when you look at those three pillars, one of them appears to be the weakest, and this one is the police council. The police council are supposed to be meeting every 90 days. And you might look at the history of their meeting. They don't usually meet as they ought to be meeting. And these are some of those critical issues. So when you look at those three pillars, the police council, the Inspector General of Police, and then the third one, the Police Service Commission, the fact that the police council does not meet regularly as it ought to be, that creates and constitutes a big hazard to the day-to-day operation of the Nigerian police force. And I think it basically look at it in this way, that it's not about dereliction of duty and everybody is busy, but if you have a structure in place, you need to make sure that the structure is working.
If I may ask, what's the constitution of the police council?
The police council, the chairman of the police council is the president, and the constitution involves all the 36 governors of the federation, including the Police Service Commission chairman and the Inspector General of Police. And basically, they're supposed to be meeting to deliberate on national security. And the way it works is this: you have the national policing plan, then you have the state policing plan, then you have the local policing plan. If those three meet together and they can look at the national issues, especially this farmers' others crisis and the other criminal activities that seems to be taking over the country.
Right. Which of these three arms would you say is directly responsible for welfare of police personnel?
It goes a long way because the three of them are co-joined together. If the head doesn't work well, then it's going to affect the rest of the body. And I think for me, in as much as we can look at what the Nigerian police is presently doing to make correction or to correct this lack of, the state of affairs as it is, says that the Nigerian police officer, let's look at it, let's look at how they enter the police colleges and the police training schools. You get in at a stage where a recruit spends 12 months at the police training school. They receive about less than 10,000 naira a month. And if you are going in as a cadet inspector, you do 12 months, and then you receive your full salary. But at that point, when they now finish the old training, then they are posted out to their individual new placements. The type of welcome they get is not supposed to be something that, we're not saying they should lay a red carpet for them, but they need to be treated with respect and dignity. And having said this, you can then go back to the training school to look at the form of curriculum. What are they being taught? And presently, as I sit here, there is a program going on that is assisting the Nigerian police force to relook into the curriculum. This is being taken care of by IDIA program. It's a one-week program. And it's so intensive that we have people from all the police training schools and training colleges in Nigeria attending this course. We need to start looking at what they have here and what they have inside their stomach. And so far, it's not working.
Would you want to, here and now, make a recommendation as to one or two vital things you would want to see included in the curriculum for police studies in Nigeria?
The first thing, police studies is like a script. You're looking at how they can get the public to be on their side. You're looking at how they can promote integrity, trust, and confidence. But you need to treat the police officers well before they can take that outside.
So are we coming back to the issue of welfare?
Yeah, welfare is key, because in as much as the present IG is doing all his best to make some corrections, but it can only do so much because it's not empowered financially to go all the way. I can tell you a lot of things he has done, but let me go back to the curriculum item. We're looking at how we can treat the public with respect and dignity. But like I said, the police officer himself or herself need to be treated with respect and dignity before he can transfer that to the public.
That sounds a bit like some of the things we have in the police reform bill that's at the National Assembly right now. And that leads us very conveniently to the question of looking at these modern reforms as already in place across the globe. Against that background, can you say the Nigeria police is far from being able to meet the challenges of security in the 21st century?
I won't say far, because when you compare, and I think this is the basic mistake we make, we compare what is happening here with other countries that started policing. Actually, they invented policing. You go to UK, and it's almost like comparing oranges and apple.
There has to be a comparison
There's got to be
to have an improvement.
But the bit for me is we cannot reach we look at Rwanda, for instance. Okay, look at Botswana. Let's look at some place that is closer home before you start looking at where the electricity works 24 hours, where there is where the cyber crime is low, where things seems to work. But again, the challenge we have is we tend to dump things on the police. The police are not the politicians. They are people that have been asked to serve, to put their lives on the line. And a lot of time when we have this kind of conversation, we need to look at a scenario where you have the widows of all those police officers that have been killed on duty. How much do they get? And then put yourself in a police officer's shoes who is looking at one of his corps member that just recently died. A lot of people die every day. And lately, what the Inspector General of Police have done is we now have a memorial bit at the force headquarters. If you go to the first floor, and just looking at those names will bring tears to your face, because we're losing a lot of men every day. But all people need to understand is this job alone cannot be done by the police alone. We need to get the community on board, and this is why community policing is key as well. Okay, you look at the welfare of the people, and then you look at how they can then attend to the needs of the community. But until you seriously pay attention to their welfare, again, I'm not going to say here that everything is going to turn right overnight. It's a work in progress, and this is where we are.
Right, okay, now that you've mentioned police, community policing, just before we take a break, I'd like to hear what your own ideas are as to how we can work this community policing, going by your experience and studies.
The fact about the people that are saying we need to go into community policing, they don't have a clue about what community policing entails. And it becomes a word that people just band around and say, well, we're going to have a community policing. The first bit you need to look at when you're looking at community policing is organizational transformation. How do you transform the organization? And you have to go and remove some blocks. You have to go and look at those structures as I spoke about. Then after that, you start forming partnerships with the community. And when you develop those partners, you become to look at it to make sure that they can trust you. You don't just call on them when you need them. A partnership process takes a long time to form. Then after that, you can now invite them to table to say, let us solve this problem together. It's called problem solving. And upon all that, then you have the accountability. Who are the police accountable to? They're accountable to the community, they're accountable to the law. But the reality is, if the communities are not brought on board from the beginning at the planning stage, then it's difficult for the community to trust them. So the whole process itself, people need to understand what community policing is. I get tired when people are saying we're going to create a community policing and state police. They are totally different. We already have community policing. State police is a different entity to what community policing is. Community policing runs...
The two cannot be tied?
No, because community policing is about people. State police is about changing the ownership. Instead of going federal, what you're doing is you're making the responsibility to the state. And then when you look at the states that could not even pay salaries of their staff, then at what point are they going to be able to pay salaries of the police officers?
You are not an advocate of state police?
I'm on the fence. Because if we do it right, then I'm for state police. But until we do that, one of the things I was recommending is, why don't we have a pilot state? Take 3 or 4 states in the federation. Let's look at how it's going to work before you dump the whole country into state police.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk some more, Professor Olu Ogunshekin, after this break. It's break time on Nigeria Today. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
The Nigerian Television Authority News 24 channel, your dependable all-round news station, offering you world-class news programs, documentaries, spotlights, promos, and information highlights. Take advantage of our network reach and advertise your interest, goods and services with us. NTA News 24, first equals with digital broadcasting. You can reach us on channel 21 terrestrial TV and channel 101 on the StarTimes platform. For more inquiries, please call Coretta 0803 618 9986 or Henry on 0803 379 0884. Join us today.
Welcome back. We continue our discussion on the police reform bill and welfare that we need to see for the personnel of the Nigeria Police. I have Professor Olu Ogunshakin still in the studio talking with me. Prof, before we went on break, you said something about Nigerians tending to dump a lot on the Nigeria Police, and you didn't sound too happy about that. And I would think we hardly have a choice because a lot depends on the Nigeria Police. Do you think we need more police personnel?
Yes, but before you, well, we've been recruiting more police personnel for the past 2 years. And I think last year we got 10,000 and this year we got 10,000. So it's increasing. But you need to look at the welfare of the ones who are there already. And once you do that, then you need to provide for the training of all those people. You need to be able to, we're not talking about buying AK-47, but you need to be able to equip them. You need to be able to train them. The facilities that you use to train them have to be top shape. You can't just take people to places where sometimes, and these are the things that this present administration, this present Inspector General of Police, Mr. Idris Ibrahim, inherited. You look at classes where rain are falling through, it's falling through the roof, and the students have to move to one corner before they. It doesn't work that way. Those people need to be treated well. A few years ago, we had a problem with Ikeja Police School, the police college, where it became a national outcry at the state of college, and how the students are treated. But then we've moved beyond that. And I think people have forgotten that other state police colleges and training schools are going through the same issues, that they are dilapidated. The bit for us is you need to be able to look at the culture of the organization. The Nigerian police, just like any other organization in Nigeria, are doing their best. But then you cannot expect miracles from these people if they are underfunded.
Okay, virtually what we're talking about is how to achieve better practice,
yes,
better security via, better welfare for personnel. Now, I'd like to get a picture from you, since you have been in the United Kingdom for quite some time, a picture of how the police system there operates. Perhaps we could take a lesson or two for better operations here.
Yeah, the first thing you look at is the way it works is you have, for every interventions you have an inspectorate division that makes sure that that intervention actually takes place. But in this bit here, we do things without measurement, without evaluating them. So this is one of those criteria. And the fact that everybody have a responsibility, the role of everybody is given to them. They are trained. Each time you get promoted, you get trained to that promotion. So you are not just giving but you're not getting promoted without getting training for that new position you are being given. But then one of the biggest difference within what they have over there is the system works. And the system is not about blaming people. It's about taking responsibility for your action. And for instance, when you have the Inspector General of Police that doesn't have a tenure, the president can turn around tomorrow and say, I'm tired of you. There's got to be a tenureship whereby you have 4 years or 5 years so you can actually complete the job you are doing. But the way it works here is almost like the police council doesn't meet. So they tend to meet whenever a new Inspector General of Police is being appointed. And that doesn't really give us that credit to say we know what we are doing. And then it's the same people in the assignment in the Senate that are calling for state police. And then you now ask yourself, the ones you've got, how are you managing it? Because if the structure works, what you already have is so akin to state police, because you have all the governors sitting at the police council where they can bring in their own issues to be discussed. Then you have a platform where you can actually have a national policing plan. So everybody comes in, the governor of Zamfara comes in, Lagos State comes in, and everybody decide. Then you now go to the local level and ask them, what are your policing needs? These are the things that make other countries work. Then within that the state, then you have the local level, you have to go to your county. In our own case, you go to your local government, and your local government will be able to say, these are the things we need. But when you now look back and talk about community policing again, you're looking at response time. If most of the roads are not good, even if you have police vehicles, how are they going to get to your place? If most of the houses are not numbered, how are you going to get there? If the electricity that will lead you there doesn't work, how are you going to get there?
Right, Prof. With the issues that we've been raising, it's easy to imagine that there will be challenges as the general elections approach, security challenges. Could you proffer some suggestions as to how the police can be as effective as we need them to be as the elections approach?
If you look at the history, we went through Anambra election. From what I was told, it was successful. No life was lost. We went through Ekiti election, because these are the things that used to happen in the past. No life was lost. Yes, it might still be on debate, but it was successful. Now we're looking forward to Osun State. For instance, tomorrow, we are meeting again with all the stakeholders. The ANEC chairman will be there, the Deputy Inspector General of Police will be there. And this is something that the Nigerian Policing Program is assisting us with. Nigerian Policing Program is NPP. You might hear this once in a while. But what they are trying to do is bring people together whereby we can discuss the way forward for the Osun election. A lot of work has been done, and we are learning from our past mistakes. So we're moving forward. But again, it's not just the police, the citizens have the responsibility as well. When I talk to people, I will tell them that the police, not just Nigerian police, generally the police have the primary responsibility to protect lives and properties. Then the people that you are protecting their lives have the secondary responsibility to cooperate and to work hand in hand with the police. And sometimes, because of our history, because of our past, we've not been able to get that to work properly. But now that election season is coming, people are gearing towards how we can protect our votes and how we can protect our lives. But I think your life comes before your votes. But at the end of the day, we need to continue to work together with the police. And then the INEC, who is in charge of election, still have that lead. They are the lead election agency in Nigeria. So and police listen to what they tell them to do. Police doesn't tell INEC what to do.
Okay, that's another concern among Nigerians, and I want to hear your opinion. Do you think the leadership of the Nigeria police force should be worried and taking drastic action concerning the issue of use of weapons that leads to accidental discharges and reports of brutality?
Weapons there is nothing called accidental discharge. Before you fire a gun, you have to go through several processes before you can get to that level. But by the end of the day, if that's what the public wants to call it, there will be instances where a gun will discharge, but it will not discharge on its own. Like they always say, gun don't kill people. People kill people.
Kill people.
So a lot of training is taking place. And what we need to understand again with this influx of light ammunitions, we have other agencies that are in charge of the border patrol, we have the immigration, we have the custom, so they are now working in unison to make sure that we can curtail some of those bits.
All right. In about 30 seconds, Prof, as we wind down, I'd like to hear your brief comments on the police reform bill. As we well know, this is an attempt to reform an act that is about 75 years old now. Yes. What is your comment? Should it be, shouldn't it be?
It's got to be. The way forward for a lot of things in Nigeria is we leave things too late, and then when it manifests in a big disaster, then we start looking for a way out. The police bill is long overdue. I know we are working towards it, but at the same time, we need to take time to get the best thing out, because once we get this over with and we can have a proper police bill, we shouldn't wait for another 75 years before we will revisit it.
No way, Prof. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been very, very, very wonderful on the program, and we cannot thank you enough.
Thank you.
We hope you come again.
I will.
Thank you very much, Prof. And that's it on the program today. We appreciate Professor Olu Ogunshakin for giving us insights on the police reform bill and the issue of welfare and performance by police personnel. Thank you, Prof, for coming. And to you, we say thank you for watching the program. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of the program. And remember, Nigeria Today is on weekdays, same time. You can also watch any edition online at www.youtube.com/NTNews24hub. My name is Kande Daniel. Bye-bye.